My name is Jack Wilson, and I am 40 years old. For 15 years, I kept my real identity hidden from my wife, Sarah. She thought I worked as an international security consultant requiring frequent travel. In reality, I was a former Marine sniper who transitioned to covert CIA operations. Our marriage seemed perfect until last night when I overheard her midnight phone call. She was planning my assassination with professional hitmen, scheduling it for tomorrow, instructing them to disguise it as a robbery gone wrong. She had no idea who she was really dealing with, and I had already prepared to neutralize her entire team. Before I tell you how I handled this shocking betrayal, let me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you have ever suspected someone close to you was hiding something dangerous. I met Sarah at a charity gala in Washington, D.C. 8 years ago. She stood out immediately with her striking red hair and confident demeanor as she worked the room, seemingly knowing everyone important. I was there as security detail for a high-ranking government official, maintaining my cover as a private security consultant. Something about Sarah intrigued me beyond her obvious beauty. Perhaps it was the way she seamlessly navigated different social circles, or how she appeared to be collecting information rather than simply socializing. As a trained operative, I recognized the subtle signs of someone working with purpose, not merely attending a social function. When our eyes met across the room, she approached without hesitation. "You look like the only person here who is actually working," she said with a smile that did not quite reach her eyes. "I am Sarah Keller, fundraising coordinator." "Jack Wilson, security consultant," I replied, using my long-established cover identity, guilty as charged on the working part. We chatted casually about the event, the attendees, and our respective careers. Her story seemed plausible enough. She worked for an international nonprofit focused on children's education in developing countries. It explained her extensive travel and knowledge of global affairs, though something in my gut told me there was more beneath the surface. By the end of the evening, we had exchanged numbers. Our first date followed a week later, and our relationship progressed quickly after that. Sarah was intelligent, adaptable, and passionate, all qualities I admired. She never pried too deeply into the specifics of my work, which should have been my first warning sign. Most people are naturally curious about the details of someone's career, especially one that involves international travel and security. After a year of dating, we married in a small ceremony attended by a few friends. My CIA colleagues who attended maintained their cover identities, and I noticed Sarah had surprisingly few personal connections present. She explained that growing up in foster care had left her without much family, and her work kept her too busy for many deep friendships. I accepted this explanation without question, another oversight I would later regret. Our married life fell into a comfortable routine. We both traveled frequently for work, sometimes coordinating our schedules to align our time at home. When together, we lived in a spacious suburban house outside D.C., projecting the image of a successful professional couple. I maintained strict compartmentalization between my home life and my actual work. Sarah never saw my specialized equipment, never knew about my firearms expertise, and certainly never learned about the operations I conducted overseas. My cover as a security consultant who advised corporations and wealthy individuals on risk management was comprehensive and backed by CIA resources. I had business cards, a website, and even a small office, where I occasionally met with actual clients, legitimate business people, who had no idea they were part of an elaborate cover story. For missions, I would tell Sarah I was traveling to assess security protocols for clients in various countries. In reality, I was conducting surveillance, gathering intelligence, or occasionally, when the situation demanded, eliminating high-value targets that threatened national security. I had been one of the top snipers in the Marine Corps before being recruited by the CIA, and those skills remained sharp through consistent training and real-world application. Sarah seemed content with our arrangement, never questioning the vague descriptions of my work or the sometimes unexpected changes in my travel plans. She was supportive and understanding, the perfect spouse for someone in my position. Too perfect, in retrospect. I should have recognized the signs: her own mysterious phone calls, the locked drawer in her home office, the way she sometimes returned from trips with unexplained bruises or cuts she attributed to clumsiness. But love, or what I thought was love, had blinded me to the warning signals that would have been immediately apparent in any other context. As the years passed, I found myself increasingly drawn to the idea of a more normal life. Approaching 40, I began considering a transition to a desk role within the agency, something that would keep me home more consistently. I even entertained thoughts of starting a family, though Sarah had always been ambivalent about children. Last month, I initiated the conversation with my handler about scaling back field operations. The timing coincided with Sarah mentioning she was considering a change in her career path as well. It seemed we were both ready for a new chapter. I interpreted this as positive alignment in our relationship, never suspecting that her career change might involve eliminating her husband. Looking back, I realize how thoroughly I had compartmentalized my professional instincts from my personal life. I had assessed and neutralized threats across 6 continents, yet I failed to recognize the danger sleeping beside me every night. The training that kept me alive in the most hostile environments on Earth had been completely switched off at home. That changed dramatically last night. I returned early from what Sarah believed was a security assessment in Dubai. In reality, I had been in eastern Ukraine gathering intelligence on Russian military movements. The operation concluded 24 hours ahead of schedule, allowing me to catch an earlier flight home. I did not notify Sarah, planning to surprise her with a rare midweek dinner together. Arriving home around 11:30 at night, I entered silently through our basement door using my key. Old habits from fieldwork made me naturally quiet my footsteps, barely audible even on our hardwood floors. Our house was mostly dark, with just the faint glow of light coming from upstairs. I assumed Sarah was reading in bed, her usual nighttime routine. As I approached our bedroom, I heard her voice. She was speaking softly, but with clear purpose. I froze, my training kicking in as I pressed myself against the wall beside the partially open door. "Yes, everything is set," she was saying. "He thinks he is in Dubai until tomorrow night." My mind instantly shifted to operational mode. I controlled my breathing and listened intently. "The house is the best location," she continued after a pause. "Clean, efficient, and we can control the environment. Make it look like a robbery gone wrong." Another pause. "No, baby, this idiot does not suspect a thing. He actually believes I am a fundraising coordinator." She laughed softly, the sound chilling me to my core. 8 years of marriage, and he never once questioned my cover. Some intelligence operative he turned out to be. The revelation hit me with physical force. Sarah knew who I really was. Worse, she was talking to someone about eliminating me. The term intelligence operative confirmed she knew my actual profession, not my cover, as a security consultant. "Send your hit team in tomorrow evening around 8. He usually comes straight home from the airport when returning from overseas. Tired, guard down. Should be clean and simple." My mind raced through possibilities. Who was she working for? A foreign intelligence service, criminal organization, private contractor. The mention of a hit team suggested professionals, not amateurs. "Once it is done, I will secure the files from his office and meet you at the extraction point. The agency will assume it was related to one of his operations. By the time they realize the connection to me, we will be long gone." Another pause as she listened to the person on the other end. "I love you too. 8 years of playing the devoted wife will finally pay off tomorrow. See you on the other side." I heard her end the call and move around the bedroom. Silently, I retreated downstairs to process what I had just learned and formulate a response. My training prevented the emotional breakdown that might overwhelm a normal person. Instead, my mind systematically categorized the threat and began developing countermeasures. Sarah was a professional, likely working for a foreign intelligence service or contractor. She had maintained deep cover for 8 years, patiently waiting for the right moment to complete her mission, accessing classified information through me, and then eliminating me to cover her tracks. The baby on the phone suggested a personal relationship with her handler, or partner, adding another layer of betrayal. I moved to our home gym in the basement, which concealed my personal cache of equipment behind a false wall. Using the fingerprint scanner disguised as an electrical outlet, I accessed my emergency kit, a Glock 17 with suppressor, 2 spare magazines, a tactical knife, Kevlar, vest encrypted, satellite phone, not issued by the CIA, and $10,000 in cash. I called my emergency contact at the agency, not my regular handler, but a direct line to counterintelligence that existed specifically for compromised operatives. Authorization code Tango Sierra 994, I said when the line connected. Pillar is compromised. Immediate extraction required. Confirmed, Archer. Came the response using my operational code name, status, and location. Currently at primary residence. Spouse is confirmed hostile asset planning termination within 24 hours. Hit team expected tomorrow at 2000 hours. Understood. Containment protocol. I will neutralize the immediate threat and secure any intelligence. Request cleanup team and full investigation into spouse's contacts and activities for the past 8 years. Confirmed. Extraction team will rendezvous at fallback point Charlie in 3 hours. Counterintelligence team will follow for evidence collection. I ended the call and began preparations. First, I needed to document evidence of Sarah's betrayal. I placed small audio recording devices in our bedroom and her home office. Then I set up motion-activated cameras covering all entry points to the house. Next, I needed to prepare the house for the hit team's arrival. Rather than running, I decided to control the environment for their arrival. This would allow me to capture them for interrogation and potentially trace back to whoever had deployed Sarah against me. I methodically began transforming our home into a tactical advantage zone. I moved furniture to create choke points, prepared flashbang devices at key entry locations, and disabled certain lights to create shadows that would work in my favor during an engagement. In Sarah's home office, I discovered the locked drawer I had always respected as her private space. Using specialized tools from my kit, I opened it without leaving evidence of tampering. Inside was a Russian-made secure satellite phone, multiple passports with her photo, but different names and a small vial. I recognized as containing a fast-acting poison, likely her emergency exit strategy if ever discovered. Most disturbing was a detailed file on me, my real operational history photographs from missions I had participated in, and notes on my patterns and behaviors. She had been studying me for years, patiently gathering intelligence while sleeping beside me. The level of deception was breathtaking, even for someone in my profession. I photographed everything, then returned the items exactly as I had found them. Sarah needed to believe her cover remained intact until I could spring my trap on her and her team. By 4 in the morning, I had transformed our home into a carefully orchestrated tactical environment designed to capture, not kill the incoming hostiles. I wanted answers more than vengeance, though the personal betrayal burned deep. I checked my watch 2 hours until my extraction team would be at the rendezvous point. Enough time to confront Sarah and get preliminary answers before the agency took over. I loaded a tranquilizer dart into a specialized pistol from my kit. Lethal force would be simpler, but I needed Sarah alive for questioning. Moving silently upstairs, I approached our bedroom, where she continued to sleep, unaware that her target had become her hunter. I paused outside our bedroom door, weapon ready, mind clear. The woman sleeping just feet away was not the person I had married. She was a hostile operative who had spent 8 years building an elaborate deception. The emotional implications would have to wait. Right now, this was an operation like any other. Pushing the door open silently, I scanned the room. Sarah lay on her side of our king-sized bed, breathing deeply, apparently asleep. I approached, carefully aware that someone with her training might be feigning sleep. When I was 3 feet from the bed, her breathing pattern changed subtly. She was awake and aware of my presence. "Hello, Sarah," I said calmly, "or whatever your real name is." She moved with impressive speed, rolling away from me while reaching under her pillow. I was faster, firing the tranquilizer dart into her shoulder, as she attempted to draw what I now saw was a Makarov pistol, Russian standard issue, further confirming my suspicions about who she might be working for. "What did you?" She started, her voice slurring immediately as the fast-acting sedative took effect. Recognition and shock crossed her face as she realized the implications of my presence and actions. "You were not supposed to be home." "Plans changed," I replied, keeping my weapon trained on her as she fought against the sedative. "Just like your plans are going to change." She struggled to maintain consciousness, her training evident in her resistance to the drug. "You have no idea what you are doing," she managed to say. "They will still come. You cannot stop them all." I do not need to stop them all, I told her as her eyelids grew heavy, just long enough for my team to arrive. Her eyes widened slightly at this revelation before the sedative finally overcame her resistance. Once I confirmed she was fully unconscious, I secured her with reinforced zip ties to the bed frame, removed the Makarov from under her pillow, and did a thorough search of her person, finding 2 additional concealed weapons, a ceramic knife, in an ankle sheath, and a garrote wire, cleverly disguised as a hair tie. I administered a longer-lasting sedative that would keep her unconscious through the extraction, then moved her to the bathroom where she would be secured during the anticipated breach by her hit team. Placing her in the bathtub, I secured her more thoroughly, ensuring she could not work free even if she regained consciousness. With Sarah contained, I returned to her office to gather additional intelligence. The satellite phone would be crucial for counterintelligence to track her communications network. I photographed and documented everything, then prepared to meet my extraction team. As I was about to leave, Sarah's personal laptop caught my attention. It was password protected, but I had specialized tools to bypass such security. After several minutes, I gained access and discovered a folder labeled Completion Parameters. Inside were detailed instructions for her mission, my elimination, and the theft of classified information I supposedly had access to. Most shocking was the identity of her handler, revealed in encrypted communications. I was able to decipher with my equipment. Not Russian intelligence as I had suspected, but a private military contractor with ties to several former CIA officials who had gone rogue years earlier, selling their services and access to the highest bidder. This explained how they had such detailed knowledge of my real identity and operations. It was an inside job, a devastating breach within the agency itself. The implications were far greater than my personal betrayal. This represented a significant national security threat. I encrypted the data and transferred it to a secure drive for delivery to counterintelligence. This evidence would initiate a much larger investigation within the agency itself. At 6:30 in the morning, I drove to the rendezvous point, an abandoned warehouse the agency maintained for emergency extractions. The team was already waiting, 4 operatives I had never met before. Standard protocol for compromised agent extraction to ensure the security circle remained small. Archer confirmed, said the team leader. After I provided the authentication codes, status report. Hostile asset is secured and sedated at primary residence. I informed them. Additional hostiles expected at 2000 hours. Preliminary intelligence suggests private military contractor involvement with potential agency compromise. The team leader, codename Raven, reviewed the evidence I had gathered. This goes deeper than we anticipated. We need to adjust the response plan. Instead of a simple extraction, the operation evolved into a capture mission targeting the hit team Sarah had arranged. We would use their arrival to gather intelligence on the broader conspiracy within the agency. Are you operational for this? Archer Raven asked, recognizing the personal element involved. No one would fault you for stepping back, given the circumstances. I am operational. I confirmed compartmentalizing the personal betrayal. No one is better positioned to lead the response at the house. The next 12 hours involved intensive preparation. The counterintelligence team established surveillance around our neighborhood, monitoring all approaches. Technical specialists installed additional surveillance equipment in the house, creating a comprehensive view of what would unfold. A tactical response team took positions nearby, ready to provide backup if necessary. I returned to the house at 4 in the afternoon to make final preparations. Sarah remained sedated in the bathtub, unaware that her carefully planned trap had been turned against her team. As 8 o'clock approached, I took position in the home office with clear sightlines to the main entrance and stairs. The house appeared normal from outside, with lights on timers, creating the impression of routine activity. To anyone conducting surveillance, it would appear that I had arrived home from my trip as expected. At 7:55, surveillance picked up a black SUV, slowly passing the house. Facial recognition identified 2 of the 4 occupants as known associates of the private military contractor mentioned in Sarah's files. They circled the block once before parking 2 streets over. Thermal imaging showed 4 figures moving on foot toward the house, approaching from different directions. A professional infiltration team using standard tactical formation. 4 tangos approaching came the update in my earpiece. All armed. Breach expected within 3 minutes. I controlled my breathing, allowing my sniper training to take over. Time seemed to slow as I entered the heightened awareness state that had kept me alive through numerous operations. Let them enter. I instructed the support team. We need to capture as many as possible for intelligence. The first sign of entry came from the back door, a nearly silent approach, as they disabled what they believed was our security system. Little did they know that I had installed a parallel system that continued to track their movements. First tango entering through rear kitchen door reported the surveillance operator. Second approaching front. Third and fourth, moving to second floor windows. I remained motionless weapon, ready, but not yet engaged. The plan was to allow them to fully commit to the breach before the trap was sprung. The modified flashbang devices I had placed would temporarily incapacitate them without causing permanent damage, allowing for capture rather than elimination. When the first operative reached the living room and the second entered through the front hallway, I activated the devices remotely. Simultaneous bright flashes and disorienting sound waves filled the first floor, immediately followed by the release of a fast-acting airborne sedative through the ventilation system, a specialized CIA technology not available to private contractors. Tangos 1 and 2 down confirmed the surveillance operator. 3 and 4 have noticed something wrong, regrouping outside second floor windows. Execute secondary containment, I ordered. The tactical team moved in silently from their hiding positions around the property, quickly neutralizing the 2 remaining operatives before they could retreat or call for backup. Within 8 minutes of their initial approach, all 4 members of the hit team were secured unconscious and being transported to a secure agency facility for interrogation. The house had been cleared of evidence that would reveal our foreknowledge of their attack, making it appear that they had simply failed in their mission. I performed a final sweep of the house before the cleanup team arrived to remove any remaining evidence. In the master bathroom, I checked on Sarah one last time. She remained sedated, unaware that her plan had collapsed completely. Agency personnel arrived to transport her to the same facility as her team, though she would be interrogated separately. Looking down at the woman I had called my wife for 8 years, I felt a complex mixture of emotions finally breaking through my operational mindset. Anger at the betrayal, sadness for the relationship I now understood had never been real, and a cold professional respect for how completely she had maintained her cover for so long. Extraction complete, I reported, as she was loaded into an unmarked van, all hostiles secured. Residence containment successful. As the vehicles pulled away, I took one last look at the house that had been the center of my personal life, a life now revealed to be largely fictional. Tomorrow, specialists would stage a convincing fire that would destroy most of the structure, providing cover for my disappearance and preventing any additional teams from recovering intelligence from the location. I would be debriefed for weeks, possibly months, as counterintelligence worked to unravel the extent of the breach and identify everyone involved in the conspiracy. My operational status would remain suspended during this process, and a new identity would be constructed for me once it was complete. The betrayal of trust went beyond my marriage, it extended to the agency itself. If former CIA officials were indeed selling access and targeting active operatives, the implications for national security were severe. The investigation would likely expand well beyond Sarah and her immediate team. For now, my mission was complete. I had survived, gathered critical intelligence, and captured hostiles who could provide valuable information. The personal cost was immeasurable, but in my line of work, survival always takes precedence over emotions. As I walked away from my former life, I reflected on the warning signs I had missed and the compartmentalization that had made me vulnerable. The experience would make me a more effective operative in the future, though a more cautious and perhaps isolated one as well. Trust, once fundamental to my personal life, would now be approached with the same critical analysis I applied to everything in my professional world. Has anyone else ever discovered someone close to you was hiding something significant? Maybe not a secret identity as dramatic as mine, but something that made you question everything about your relationship. Share your stories in the comments below. If this experience taught me anything, it is that sometimes the biggest threats are not from obvious enemies, but from those we believe are on our side. Like this video if you found my story interesting. Subscribe for more true stories of betrayal and survival, and share with someone who might need a reminder to trust their instincts when something feels wrong. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember to stay vigilant out there. Not everyone is who they appear to be.